Hi, welcome back to this course in Mastering Google Classrooms. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create questions and post those in your Google Classroom. You'll also be able to upload videos, files, links, or any other resources that are appropriate for your particular question. And then you'll have two additional settings that will allow you to give students permission to reply to one another and also give them permission to edit their answers after they've already submitted them based on the situation. So unfortunately, for my rationale, Google Classroom does not have a discussion forum feature at the moment. So the Ask a Question feature is really the closest thing you can get to sort of mimic that experience. So if you were to ask a question and give your students the ability to respond to one another, then they can sort of have that discussion back and forth, similar to a forum. You can also choose not to enable that feature, which means that students will not be able to have a conversation on their answers. You can also choose to not allow students to edit their answers once they've submitted them. So that might be something that if you're just doing a quick assessment at the beginning of class, you want to see how much a student knows, and you pose a question, just say go ahead and answer that really quickly. You don't want them going back and editing it or necessarily even responding to one another, just a quick response sort of thing. You may also do a similar thing at the end of your class, sort of like an exit ticket, to see like how well did they retain the information that you taught in that particular lesson. So let's go ahead and start with creating a question. So here I am in my Google Classroom. I'm going to go over to our little plus button here, which is very useful, and then select Create a Question. And go ahead and just pose, for example, any question. I'll say, what is in... Maybe it's at the beginning of class and you just want to see if they're even familiar with what this term is. So so you could put some simple directions. It depends. If you're asking the student to just respond to this immediately, you may not necessarily need a due date. However, I do recommend using a topic because that'll help you define that if you want to use that for another class or at a later date if you thought you had a good question. So you can go ahead and choose, let's see, I think the internet might be a good topic for that. Notice that this is a short answer, so the student will respond to that as a short answer. And then you have right now the feature enabled. Students can reply to one another. So if the students wanted to comment on one another's answer, they could do that. If I wanted to disable that, I would just click there and you can see that that is now disabled. Right, I'll go ahead and enable it. And students can edit answer. That means after they submit it, they can change their mind, or they can talk to a neighbor and realize that they put something that was incorrect, and then they can change their answer. Sometimes that's something you may want, other times not so much. I'm going to leave that disabled for now, and then I'll go ahead and simply click Ask. We can see that that now appears in my stream, and I have my list of students where I can see how many have answered it, how many have not. I can go in and select which ones specifically have not. And of course, I only have my one student here who has not, so why don't we go ahead and jump back over to that student and we can let him respond. Alright, so here I am on Test Students Google Classroom, and I'll go here and update my stream, so click Show, and there's that example. Let's say, for example, he wants to say, how about he says Dell, right? He doesn't know the answer to this. He thinks maybe the answer could be a Dell. So he's going to go ahead, or she is going to submit that question, and they always kind of double check, are you sure you want to submit? Make sure you submit again. Right, and now you can see that he has his answer. You can see how many people have replied to his answer. So if he gets comments, he can see who has commented on, and he can quickly respond to those. He can also see some of his other classmates' answers here. Right now, of course, he doesn't have any classmates in my particular example, but that's as simple as it would be for a test student or any of your students to see other classmates' answers and to also respond to people who have commented on their answer. So somebody might say, ooh, I don't think that that's a web browser, and he might do a Google search and say, oh, you're right, I saw that. It is indeed a brand of a computer, not a web browser, in any event. So I'm going to jump back over now to the teacher's Google Classroom, and we can see now that test student has moved over to the done category, and I can very quickly see his answer there. Now I, as the teacher, could reply to him. I say, I'm sorry, maybe you should Alright, so something like that, I could comment on that. Jump over to test student, and he can indeed see he has a reply. Now, last thing before I end this video on creating questions, quickly, I just want to show you that we did have that option to pose a question and then give multiple choice answers. So we'll just pose a simple question, take your best guess for directions, and then notice down here, instead of short answer, I'll choose multiple choice, and this time I can give them options. So you can say Springfield. You could say so this would be a quick way to just pose a simple question, at any point during your class. You can see you could do this really quickly. You say something and you want to check that they were paying attention or that they caught something. You could do a quick little survey like this, and then you could even select this box, and students will kind of see a chart breakdown of, which students got this, not necessarily names, but they can see a class summary of numbers, how many students got a certain answer. Right, so I'm going to leave that enabled, and I'll just go ahead and click Ask. Jump over to student page, appear to update, show, and there we go. We have our question here with multiple choice. You can see that question, right, and then they can see the breakdown right here. How many other students after they have submitted it, of course, though, right? They can't see it before they've submitted. So then they'll be able to see how many people chose something similar. So a really helpful way to pose quick questions and to allow the students to get some feedback on where they fall with their classmates. Okay, so that basically sums it up for how to create a question. We talked about first how to find that feature and put that into your stream, as well as some additional options that are not available in the other tools that you can create, right? Such as allowing students to reply to each other, allowing students to edit their answer, and even posing different types of questions like short answer and multiple choice, and allowing students to see how their classmates responded as well. So a lot of cool things you can do with creating a question. Go ahead and try creating a question, posting that to your stream. Once you've done that successfully, I'll see you in the next video.